Info Marketing Insights presents Framing, Relativity, and the Decoy Effect, a case study. Hi, my name is Andrew Seltz with IamInsights.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about a little psychological trick, I guess, or just a way that people's minds work that if you properly implement it can have a 262% increase in the amount of customers who will take one of your upgrade offers as opposed to a basic offer if you structure your sales message and your offers like I'm about to show you today. And all you got to do is add one fake duck. That's the decoy. Now, this doesn't require any fancy scripts. It doesn't require any special shopping cart gymnastics. You don't have to use any special technology. All you need is that one decoy, that one fake duck, as it were. The technique that I'm going to show you is something that Dan Ariely talks about in his book, Predictably Irrational. And behind the concept, he explains a marketing tactic that he identified one day and then did some extensive study on. And behind the tactic of the decoy effect and how it works is an important concept called framing, which just talks about the influence that the materials surrounding an offer or something that you're being shown or talking about, how that will impact and persuade you to change how you perceive what you're looking at. And a perfect example of this is if you took a child's drawing, a crayon drawing, and put it behind thick bulletproof glass on the wall of a big fancy museum and stuck an armed guard in front of it, put a big velvet rope around it, your impression of the value of that piece of artwork would probably go up. You might still stand there going, you know, that just looks like a kid's drawing, but you would still be trying to find a reason to understand why it's so valuable because of the surroundings. The same point will be made if you took a copy of, you know, the Mona Lisa. If you took the original Mona Lisa and hung it on a rusty nail in somebody's garage, you know, behind the leaf blower and the lawnmower, you know, if you were to come upon that and look at it, you'd be looking for reasons to think, well, it's not really a masterpiece. Something's wrong with it because it's surrounded by junk. It's not held up in importance, so it can't be important. So that framing changes your perception and causes your brain to start looking for different things when you're making comparisons. And the other thing that's important that Dan talks about when he's explaining the decoy effect is the concept of relativity, in that human beings are comparison machines. So each one of us really doesn't have a good ability to understand the value of something unless we can compare it to something else. And the really significant thing there is if something is hard to compare, if there's two things that are too dissimilar and they're hard to compare, we will gravitate toward comparing two things that are similar. So our brain avoids work whenever possible. So if we have three things and two of them are similar, we'll compare those two things and ignore the third. And a perfect example of how this relativity and how this comparison works is a little illustration that Dan used in the book. And I'll recreate it here. Which one of these circles, these green circles, is bigger? Now, if you look very carefully, most people would say the one on the right is bigger and the one on the left is smaller. Now, if I give you a little bit of a guide here, you'll see that the two circles are in fact exactly the same size, even though it's still tough to believe it. But we can see the comparison with the straight line showing, you know, the top and the bottom are the same height. It's easier to see when I strip away the gray circles. Now it's very obvious they're exactly the same size circle. But here's the really important trick, the important bit. If I put everything back the way it was before, it's still hard to get your brain wrapped around the fact that they're the same size. You know the trick. You know what's going on. I explained it to you. I showed it to you. I gave you the ledger lines to show you that the top and the bottom are the same. But when I put it back in context, it still looks like that one on the right is bigger and the one on the left is smaller. And that's a really, really important tool because we can't escape the importance of the frame around something and its influence on how we interpret and behave. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the object of this case study. And it's a sales page for a product called the Upsell Equation. The whole idea behind the upsell equation is to try and show you a tactic and techniques to get more people to upgrade when they're making a purchase from you and choose the more expensive options that you have available. The upgrade equation uses the concept of the decoy effect. That's one of the main things it's teaching. And on the sales page for the product, they use a perfect example of it, and that's what I want to use to show you the power of this idea. So let's switch over to the website here. It's a fairly standard web page, product sales letter. So there's headlines and lots of copy. It explains a lot of what I'm talking about and a few more things inside. But the most important thing I want to show you is toward the bottom. And you see here, as we're scrolling down, he uses the same example that I used, trying to show you the importance of this concept of relativity. But as we scroll all the way down past all of his explanations, we'll stop right here just so you can see what the offer that he made and is using as his example in his sales copy of how this technique works. He had 3 items for sale in his test project. The regular price product was $49. He had what he called a big upsell, which is a pretty significant difference, $119. And then his last item was a super huge upsell, $545. So it was significantly more expensive than both other options. So that's what those were the 3 options he was using to try and get people to upsell using this decoy effect. If you go all the way down past all of his explanations of the product and all of his feedback and testimonials and stuff, we get to the bottom here, and you'll see where he presents his offer. So here's the offer. This is what I want to look at. He's got 3 items listed on the page. He's got the standard edition upsell equation. Notice it's kind of grayed out. It has the core information and basic support. It's fairly stripped down, and he's offering that for $54. Then below that, he lists the fully upgraded package, which has all the important bits and some video walkthroughs, same help desk support, listed at $79.99. And then the third one, which is significantly more expensive than that, almost $120, which has a few extra bits and bobs added to it. You've got some advanced tactics shown beyond the core idea of the upsell equation, and then some cut and paste tutorial stuff. Now, the important thing to understand is this is a decoy. He doesn't expect anybody, or hardly anybody, to purchase this platinum system. That's not what he wants you to do. What he wants you to do is he wants you to get this. But what happens is we start looking at this selection of 3 options, and this one has the manual and the walkthrough videos. Manual, walkthrough videos. This just has one piece. So we start looking at these 2 and comparing these 2 together and trying to decide, do we just want the walkthrough videos, or do we also want the cut and paste stuff? We start comparing these 2 together because they're more similar than the first piece. And this price tag is probably going to make most people go, yeah, it's not what I really want. As Dan Ariely said it in his analysis, what most people will do is if there's 3 offers, they'll use them like running lights or landing lights on an airport runway, and they'll come down in the middle. So the great chance is that everybody is going to come for this. But in a classic decoy, what he did during the actual initial launch of this product was he made the price for this option 1 penny more expensive than this one. So that's the true decoy effect. So the difference in price between this and this was 1 penny. But the difference in perceived value was significant between this and this. So people would go, well, why wouldn't I pay 1 penny more and get all the extras? And that's the secret, the psychology behind this, is that people will look at this offer, this 3-part offer, and if you use the true decoy, which is where you have two elements that look very similar in price, except for one seems to give way more value, you'll stop looking at this one at all. You'll start going, well, gosh, this one is so much better than this one. I should just go ahead and get this one. And it pulls your attention away. Another similar decoy strategy, what he's doing here is he's using a much more expensive offer, and by presenting that huge expensive offer, it kind of sets a comparison thermostat in your mind about what the top value is that this man has, makes you think everything is a little bit more valuable, and then you stop thinking about the bargain basement. You just kind of resets your thought process for how much you're prepared to spend. It's like if you walk into an art gallery and there's a painting, that costs $10,000, and then nearby you can buy a poster of the same painting, a copy, for $50. You might love the painting, you might love the picture, but you'll opt for the $50 poster because you just don't have $10,000 to spend. But if you had just walked in and seen a $50 poster, you might think, $50 is expensive for a poster. But that high-priced item at the door reset your thinking. And so the same thing is happening here. So if you want to use a classic decoy product, a classic decoy effect technique, you create 3 offers. And the top 2 offers are very similar in price and have a big difference in what they get. Or you can have a huge price difference between the middle and the top so that people are drawn toward the middle offer. So depending on whether you want them to take that middle offer or your top level offer, it'll either be 2 similar prices and a big difference in what they get, or it will be somewhat similar amounts of what they get, but a big price difference between the top and the middle. And that draws people away from the bottom offer completely. So if you do this, Dan Ariely found in his research that when he made an offer that had a decoy in it, people took that offer the majority of the time. A significant amount of people. Even when the upgrade, those 2 top offers, there wasn't any difference in the price. They still gravitated away from the bottom offer. And you would think that if you took away the middle offer, this was something that was significant. Dan Ariely found that if he had this offer for the middle and this offer for the top at almost the same price or exactly the same price, he saw that if he took the middle offer out, because you would think, well, it doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone choose this one for the same price as the most expensive, biggest offer? Why would they choose between these 2? Why don't we just knock this one out and have the low-priced offer and the high-priced offer? But what he found was when he knocked the middle offer out, the decoy, people overwhelmingly went back to the low-priced offer. So just having that decoy in place radically increased the amount of people who would consider the more expensive offer. So that's really the concept behind the decoy. You want 3 offers, one of which seems out of place, but will draw your attention towards an upgrade instead of allowing you to make your choice between the top offer and the cheap offer, because then people will gravitate toward the bottom. So that's, in a nutshell, what the decoy effect is, how it works, and here's an example of it in practice. And I'm sure you'll see, if you start looking around, a lot more people using a similar offer structure. I see it used all the time on people selling templates and themes and stuff like that online, or design services. They'll have a good, better, best. I used to do the same thing when I was selling in-home sales for home improvements. We always presented a good, better, best offer, and we always made the best offer extremely expensive so that we would more draw people to that middle, and we still got an upgrade from the cheap prices. And that was our goal. Our goal was to just stop people from thinking about trading down to the cheap offer and draw their attention to the middle and the top end of our product line. And it worked surprisingly well. So it's not a new technique. It's something that's used in sales. It's something that's used increasingly online. And the beauty is it requires absolutely no special programming. You just have to have 3 order buttons. Any more, though? And here's the one caution I'll leave you with. If you try to put more up there, 4, 5, or 6 offers, your effectiveness will go down. You'll actually decrease your overall sales generally if you put more offers up there. The key is to use the 3 offers to draw people up and not overwhelm them with too many options, because most people, when overwhelmed with too many options, opt out completely. So that is the decoy effect. That's basically how it works. And if you want to check out the entire sales letter that I had there and see a little bit more about their explanations of everything, you can just go to www.gtggo.com/upselleq. UPSELLEQ. So thank you. From Internet Info Marketing Insights, this is Andrew Seltz, and have a great day, and use that decoy effect to increase your sales.